based on some of the surveys that we done with the positive aging community, one of the things that our community uh, has said to me is, hey, we love all these speakers and authors that you get, but let's have some just open forum chats. Okay. And so the first one that I did was a little bit ambitious. I said, hey, let's have an open forum on aging in place or making a move. What I realize is it needs to be an open forum on either aging in place or making a move. But this is another topic that seems to be a common theme, and we're going to give it a shot today. And it's I'm not ready yet. And what I tell people is I've been in this business for 35 years, and there is one phrase that I hear that I've heard every day of my career, and I'll probably hear it every day until I stop, and that is I'm not ready yet. And what I mean by I'm not ready yet, it could be I'm not ready yet around anything and everything related to elder care. So where I've heard it most is when I hand somebody one of these copies of Positive Aging source book, and generally it's sort of like, oh, this is nice, but I'm not ready for any of this stuff yet. Um, so we're going to explore this topic a little bit deeper today. And here's how we're going to do it. And again, there's an exit survey on this. So I want you guys to give me feedback. We'll dial in this format as we go along. But what I'm going to do is I've got literally a really quick slide deck that I'm going to run through. And I'm hoping that that can trigger some conversation and talking points or some ideas around this topic. And so feel free to use Q&A, feel free to use chat, and then we'll do a little Q&A and chat discussion on this topic. And then if y'all would like, we can move to a breakout room where everybody can see each other and we can have more of an intimate conversation. So I hope that sounds good. Like I said, this is a work in progress, but I've put together a few slides on this topic, and let me run through them very quickly. And then I'm also going to just keep monitoring chat. So feel free if anything comes up that you want me to elaborate on, or if you have something that you'd like to share, then do this. And yeah, I like Joe. He says not only does aging happen, but shit also happens. So love that one, Joe. Okay, here we go. Slide number one. I'm not ready yet is a common sentiment, and it's natural and it's common, and it's an obstacle not only in the aging process, but it's an obstacle in every process. I have a bunch of things on my desk right now that I'm saying I'm not ready yet to. And we're gonna try to dive into these aging related topics today. And the other thing is understanding why we're not ready is really a means to the first step to helping ourselves and helping people plan thoughtfully through the future. So I'm hoping today that we can uncover some ideas that I haven't even seen or thought about in this discussion. So first, let's talk about what does I'm not ready yet really mean? Okay, here's some of the things that I've heard and seen in my travels, and I'd love for you guys to throw other logs on this pile. Um, I don't want to live around older adults. I think this is one thing that really causes us to, especially when we're thinking about senior housing, to say, I'm not ready yet. And I've stumbled into this in that most of us live in buildings and neighborhoods where black, white, young, old, married, single, divorced, we all live together. And now when we start looking into senior living options, it's sort of like, oh boy, now I'm living in this segregated environment with a bunch of old people. Even though I'm old, it's still a segregated environment. So that can be something that we put the brakes on. Another thing that says that can trigger I'm not ready yet is I'm worried about affordability and the cost of services, whether it be, getting support in our homes or moving to a community. Um, One common I'm not ready yet thing that I heard just the other day when somebody was talking to me about trying to get a caregiver in to help her mom, her response was, I don't want strangers in my house. Another trigger point is the hassle and the emotional weight of downsizing and moving feels overwhelming. And again, this is related to maybe investigating senior living options, but that's one that can trigger the phrase. And then one that I kind of feel is most common is that folks are sort of like, why are you bringing these things up? I'm healthy. I'm active. I don't need to think about any of this stuff. Stop talking to me about it. I'm not ready yet. And so recognizing the root causes behind this hesitation leads us to having better conversations and solutions. And we're gonna dive into that a little bit today. I'm gonna do a quick glance over here. I see some really nice, um, nice, wow, lots of comments in the chat. It's Meryl says, my husband always states, do not want to get old, do not turn 71. We both get a lot of smiles from everyone that we deal with. Lynn says, getting ready to get ready. Wally says, I'm not ready yet to be the person that the other people have to worry about and take care of. Wally, I think that's a common sentiment. Pam says, we don't see ourselves as old. I don't know about you, but I'm frozen at age 53. Hildem says, my vibrant auntie once said, I will never grow old. When old age comes, she handled it with some challenges. Um, Steve says, I'm not ready to be in the stage of life for my chronological age. And Dixie says, folks are not ready to face their own mortality. All of these are great comments. This is awesome, guys and gals. Okay. Um, my next slide that I'm going to dive into for thoughts and keep the comments, questions coming is common reasons behind why I'm not ready yet. One is emotional attachment, and oftentimes this can be emotional attachment to the way that we lived our life, but more commonly, what we see the emotional attachment to is our home. And if somebody says, "Hey, you should research looking into, let's go tour communities." Moving means leaving a lot of lifelong memories, facing change, or in the case of if you're not moving, maybe having strangers come into the home that you love. And again, some of the common reasons behind this are financial concerns, uncertainty around the cost, fees, and value for the money. And again, longevity plays a big role in this. Is that we all know people that have lived over 100, and when you think about making decisions that may be a little bit more expensive than what we're currently at, and living for another 20, 30 years, um, that can cause us to sort of procrastinate and not think about this. Fear of losing independence, concerns about lifestyle change or community dynamics. Again, it's when we're healthy, it's very difficult to run through the scenarios in our mind of what would happen if I lost my mobility? What would happen if I couldn't drive anymore? What would happen if I got dementia? It's very hard and it's very natural for us to again say I'm not ready when it comes to these types of decisions, or planning, I should say. And then timing and health. Again, that's one of the ones that I've stated a few different ways is I'm healthy now, so why are you bothering me with this stuff? Okay, so let me take a peek over at at our chat, The Dixie says fear of vulnerability, victimization of ageism. Yeah, ageism comes that's a lot of what we've been talking about when we look in the mirror and we say, wait, this is I'm not I never imagined that uh this is what I would look like, and a lot of that is born out of ageism that was developed in our younger ages. Is there's nothing the matter with the way that we look. It's just how we evolve through the chapters of life. But because, we heard people say things or we said things ourselves in our 20s and 30s and 40s, now that we're at this age, we're kind of living a little bit of that self-ageism. Lee says, changing to a new location neighborhood will change the social infrastructure and routines that we're used to. Good one there. Joan says, I thought this was about planning in general, not moving to a CCRC. Yes, it is. Joan, this is definitely all about everything. It's easiest for us to talk about I'm not ready yet when when I bring up examples about moving to a senior community, but I don't want that at all to be the nature or tone of our discussion today. It's I'm not ready yet. Let's make it a blanket statement. I'm not ready yet to plan or think about um, options for senior living. Denial is a huge problem. Carolyn says, I'm not ready to accept that family elder care is done without earning a salary, benefits, and social security credit. Yeah, Carolyn, we got to solve that problem for sure. And Joe says it's almost easier to see ourselves as dead rather than incapacitated. And for any of you that have been on our end of life discussions, I always sort of jokingly say that, my end of life dream would be that I pass away in my sleep, okay? Because I don't want to think about incapacitation or my lack of ability to take care of myself. Phyllis says, I'm not ready yet either, but when I have a plan for when I'm ready, or more likely when I change in a health and life creeps up for me, just like I have a will, trust, and durable power of attorney, but I don't plan on using any of them soon. But hey, Phyllis, I'm going to give you a gold star, and it's going to relate to the other question that came. We're not talking about life plan communities, but we could be talking about life plan communities. But what Phyllis has done and what she said is that she has a will, a trust, a durable power of attorney, and advanced medical directives. That is a situation when people are thinking about those things where they say, I'm not ready for any of that stuff yet. But Phyllis, you've gotten over one of the huge speed bumps of I'm not ready just doing that planning. And there might be some more things that you catch yourself saying, I'm not ready yet. Jose says, even though I feel I'm not ready, what documents for end of life should I have? I actually just said them, Jose. It's advanced directives so that people know if you want life sustaining treatment, how you want your end of life if you can't speak for yourself. A financial power of attorney. So if you can't handle your finances, somebody else can. A healthcare power of attorney, so that if you can't make decisions for your health care, somebody else can. And then the wills, the trusts, and that type of estate planning is more for your loved ones in terms of whatever possessions and you have, that they're instructions, so that the court doesn't need to come in and make decisions on who gets what in your estate. Now, another important document that we love to talk about is called an ethical will. I was introduced to this by Chris Palmer, and that is sort of a love letter to the people in your life. It's sort of like, how do you want to be remembered? what do how did that person make you feel? So think about all those documents there. Ageism is prejudice towards our own future self. You're right on that. And I think most ageism is when we stare in the mirror. Stereotypes can be thought killers. Um, Jones, let's see. Okay, Mary says, following the most recent comment, I'm not afraid of death. I'm afraid of dying. Really good. Susan says, I worry about finances and being incapacitated. Lynn says, there is no downside to planning for just in case. Great point, Lynn. And Florence says, uh, adding to Phyllis's list of estate documents, suggest you also have a HIPAA authorization form for others to get healthcare information when necessary. Joe says, get long term care insurance. And Ann says, but I don't plan on using them anytime soon. Folks sometimes struggle with it when it's time to use them. It means admitting that they need help. And folks, again, I think one thing that one reason why we say I'm not ready yet is because we think that we have this long runway. We think that, I've got another 20 years of healthy living, but here's the reality. We all have friends and family that woke up today with a diagnosis that they didn't expect, that went out on the beltway tomorrow and got in a car accident. And so we got to realize that that sometimes putting things off can minimize what could happen to us in the future. Okay, I think this is my last slide, or I think I got one more, and then I'm gonna jump in, and we'll have more of an open forum. Why I'm not ready can be risky, and we've already talked about some of these things. Delaying the decision can limit options due to health decline or emergency situations. So by not thinking about this, by not having conversations with our loved ones, it can minimize our options. And again, let's talk about aging in place. If our intention is to age in place and not move to a community, what does our home look like if I'm not driving, if I have a mobility issue, or if I have dementia? Just sort of contemplating those three things can enable us to make decisions in advance of something happening to us. Early planning enables more control and more choice in these senior living arrangements. But again, let's take the senior living moniker out of it. These are solutions that help us live a more purposeful life. And then my last bullet point is planning sooner can maximize benefits like social connections, wellness programs, or just having peace of mind that you've given this some thought. And, again, our number one discussion topic on here is solo aging on this platform. And many of the solo agers are sort of frantically doing a lot of planning. And when I quiz them on this, it's like, I just want some peace of mind. I want some peace of mind that if something happens to me, I have a safety net of support. Okay. Okay, now what I think is my last slide, and I'm 90% sure of this, is a slide devoted to helping others. Because this phrase, I'm not ready yet, sometimes people say it point blank to me, but oftentimes it's I'm talking to an adult child about a parent that has a dementia diagnosis or mobility issues, and the adult child comes into town and says, Mom, we're going to go tour assisted living. And guess what mom's response is? I'm not ready for any of that stuff yet. And so my next slide is just to give you some pointers and give us some talking points. I shouldn't say pointers, give us some talking points on when our loved ones or our neighbors or our friends are saying, I'm not ready yet, what can we do? And a couple of, things is approach the conversation with empathy and understanding. Again, let's not try to lecture people. Let's say, hey, I get it. I don't want to leave my home either. I understand what you're feeling, but mom, I'm concerned for your safety. Okay. Encourage an open dialogue about fears and concerns instead of, telling somebody what to do. It's sort of like, tell me why you're nervous or concerned about having a conversation with about this topic with me. Um, Share stories of those who wish they had moved or planned earlier. I opt and it's one of the reasons why on our platform I like interviewing people and hearing their real life stories, because oftentimes if somebody hears that another person went through this life challenge, it can make it easier for them to follow in their footsteps in planning or thinking or doing something. And then providing information on gradual transitions and ways to sort of test drive a support service. So, the other day I was talking to somebody about the value of adult daycare for their parent who didn't want to make a move, and said, the beauty of adult daycare is they could just go one day and just test drive it, see if it's something that they like, versus kind of making this what may seem like a major commitment. Oh boy. Okay. I am through all of my slides. So now what I'm going to do is jump back onto some of the comments. And then what I would love is sort of feedback from the comments if you'd like me to move our dialogue into an unrecorded uh, Zoom style meeting where if people feel comfortable, they could turn their cameras and mic on and we could get to know each other and talk about this topic of I'm not ready yet in more of a forum. So just throw into chat if you think that's a good idea. If not, we'll just stay here and I'll just read your comments and we'll do it that way. Okay, Anne says, but I don't plan. Okay, let's see. Stuff happens without warning. Lenore says, please spend more time sharing your knowledge. And Lenore, I'm not sure if you think that's me, but if it is, I will share. I try to share as much insights as I can with the least amount of words possible. Um, uh, will we get these talking points? Alicia says, yes. I will put this part of the discussion up on proaging.com. I'll have a copy of my PowerPoint. I'll also have a bunch of other resources that we talk about. Phyllis says, my 99-year-old precious mom recently died after a 19-year journey with dementia. Man, and folks, this is what we all get nervous about, okay? she remains in her own she remained in her own independent living senior living apartment with the same devoted personal caregivers. So it's definitely possible to age in place at home, but not guaranteed or easy situations. So wherever we are, care can come to us if we hunt for it, which means knowing where to get it, or where we go to a venue where caregivers are built in and already vetted. All work for somebody, but noting works for everybody. I'm now 76 years old and need a better understanding of what's out there. So I'm taking a deep dive and inventorying what's available in its broadest scope, learning the lingo, becoming familiar with instrumental activities of daily living, what my long-term care insurance benefits. It's my senior education first and foremost, and pro aging is helping. Thank you for sharing that, number one. And I hope I didn't botch reading it, Phyllis. But Phyllis, reflecting on your mom's 19 years of dementia, it really emphasizes why all of us, need to not utter the words, I'm not ready yet. Okay, I got enough votes to go into a breakout room. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up a breakout room and I'm gonna put everybody in it, and then we can have a chat. And folks, if you don't want to participate in the breakout room, it's really easy. Just don't turn your mics and cameras off. You could just listen to the conversation. Um, Again, when we go into the breakout room, this won't be recorded, so we can be open and free with our comments and things. So, for those of you who are listening to the recording, um, I um, I am delighted that you listened to this, and I look forward to seeing y'all on the other side. So here we go, and we are going to jump into the breakout room. Okay, um, and let's see. I'm going to.